Say goodbye to the next 18 years of your life. Okay, negative Ned. This was an actual comment I received after saying my wife and I were expecting our first kid. First of all, now, who says that? Common sense says that if somebody tells you they're expecting, maybe they should lead with something a bit more positive than, your life is over. But that's okay. I'd been watching dads for decades, and I'd seen my fair share of men I'd take notes on thinking, okay, don't be like that one. Now, while the comment was made as a joke, and I took it as such, the statement beneath the surface was, my life was miserable once kids came into the picture. And truly, I think that sucks. It sucks for the dad who felt that fatherhood was the end of his life. It sucks for the kid who more than likely felt their father's frustration more than once. A few months back, a very talented writer, Jeff Hayward, wrote a piece on Medium titled, If You're on the Fence About Having Kids, Choose No. Now in it, Jeff says, being on the cusp of parenthood feels a bit surreal. You know your life is going to be different, but you don't know how much. You also worry whether you're flexible enough to change with it. Jeff's piece is a must read as far as I'm concerned, because in most cases, you don't have to become a dad. Some men feel pressured into fatherhood, thinking it's the next step for a man to do. Some simply go along with it, not truly thinking of how their world is going to change. Yeah, having a baby, a toddler, a child, a kid will alter how you operate, but it doesn't have to change who you are. On today's episode, we are diving deep into keeping your passions alive while being an awesome dad. We're going to cover why hobbies matter and how to communicate with your partner, and we'll go over a couple practical tips in terms of how to maintain your identity. Thanks for being here for another episode of Corsat Forever, because as parents, we've got the best seats in the house. Let's enjoy them. We have to reject the negative Ned mentality. When I speak with expecting dads, a common question I get is, am I going to have time to do the things I like to do? I understand the premise of the question, I really do. There's a stereotype in some circles that once a kid comes along, your life is over, which I guess for some dads, that might be true. Now, I'm not saying the stereotype is true, but there is a reason the stereotype exists, and that's because for some dads, their old life is over. I'd argue this is a good thing because I feel like fatherhood opens up a whole new valve in your heart, which kind of rules. But yeah, if you want to play Madden all weekend, I guess a baby probably ruins the vibe a little bit. But when it comes to this question of whether you'll have time to do the things you love to do, I'm here to say emphatically, yes, you will. And maybe it'll look slightly different. Maybe you won't be able to do the hobbies you like to do quite as often. Madden all weekend? Highly unlikely. But let me say, your boy used to put my 1-month-old daughter on my lap while I bounced on one of those big bouncy ball, balance ball type things. And I play NBA 2K like nobody's business. Everything has a workaround. The arrival of kids doesn't have to change your hobbies. I'm sure there's an example like maybe your hobby is digging up old landmines in a desert. Maybe stop doing that for about 18 years or so. Now, there are a lot of hobbies that can not only continue, but you can actually incorporate your kids into them. Again, landmining, maybe not one of them. Let's dive into 3 key points as to why dads need to reject this negative Ned mindset. Number 1, there's the harmful perceptions. The idea that fatherhood ruins life creates unnecessary anxiety and negativity. First of all, it's not true. I don't try to convince people to have kids. Now, if you come to me and ask about my experience, I will tell you I love it and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. That said, if you're like, kids are going to ruin my life, then sure, don't have a kid. But the idea that fatherhood does in fact ruin a man's life is not even remotely accurate in any way. But if a soon-to-be dad believes this to be true, there will be some sort of negativity around the subject, as the idea itself is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Number 2, there's the impact on families. Now, a dad who views parenthood as a burden risks damaging those relationships with their kids and their partner. Oh, this is a good one, because how many people do you know who struggle with dad issues? Oh, is it just me? Now, if your dad is always negative, always bothered by your presence, always annoyed that he needs to take you somewhere, always bothered by caring for his kids, then there's a really good chance that you and your dad are not going to have a close relationship as you grow up. Resentment builds, and when kids feel like they're a burden, more times than not, they do their best to avoid their parents, whether that's by hanging out with their friends or choosing to spend their off days anywhere else. And number three, there's an opportunity for growth as dads. Fatherhood is a chance to redefine your identity and embrace new challenges with enthusiasm. I mentioned how I felt fatherhood feels like a brand new valve has opened up in your heart. Now, I think of my days before kids, and they were all full. It was rare that I just sat around with absolutely nothing to do, but now with kids, I feel like I'm learning so much about myself and the world. I'm learning what matters and what doesn't, and steering clear of the people, the subjects, and the jobs that suck all the life right out of me. My life certainly wasn't ruined when I became a dad. My life was enhanced. Sure, there were trade-offs, but it's like trading a future second-round pick for the best player in the league. There is no comparison. Now, rejecting the negative Ned mentality shifts the narrative from a loss to an opportunity. Fatherhood is a new chapter, and every page is full of growth and excitement, not an end of who you are. Will people still make jokes about how fatherhood ruined their life? Sure, but that's between them and their therapist. Take it from me, fatherhood is a joy. Not like holding the championship trophy at the parade joy, but more like a feeling the burn of a good workout on your way to what you can guarantee will be the best season of your career type of joy, you know? That guy who said fatherhood would change your life forever was right, but his perspective was wrong. Fatherhood will enhance your life and make you see colors that you did not even know existed. Next up, let's get into the power of communication and planning. Now, I've got two rules for new dads, and they both are pretty simple. Number one, communicate often. And number two, don't be an idiot. Imagine it's night 4 of parenthood for both you and your partner, and with absolutely no heads up, you turn to your partner and say, "Hey, I'm heading out with the guys tonight. I'll see you later." Now, that approach might have worked pre-parenthood, but in a household juggling feedings, naps, and endless demands, you've got to be out of your damn mind if you think they're going to respond with, "Sounds good, sweetie. I'll see you when I see you." Now, of course, not seeing your friends is also a disaster. So how can we find the solution to a very real problem? A simple adjustment is to say, "Hey, I'd love to catch up with the guys this weekend. Can we figure out a plan that works for both of us?" This approach makes all the difference in the world by not only asking, but you're identifying why this is important to you. Maybe it's still a no, and maybe that no leads to an argument. That's where I point to rule 2. Don't be an idiot. If your fingerprints are nowhere to be found in the early days of parenting, well, we've probably got bigger issues, to be honest. But if you see that your partner is struggling, whether it's with sleeping through the night, breastfeeding, or anything like that, use common sense to navigate what's best for your family unit, even if that means skipping out on guys' night. Everything is push and pull, and a partnership should find ways to strike that balance. And that balance starts with the power of communication and, well, not being an idiot. So what are some of the key points? Let's talk about number 1, collaboration over proclamation. Planning with your partner ensures personal time aligns with shared parenting responsibilities. Now, what does that mean? All right. It means don't try to do it alone. Maybe you know what you're doing, and maybe you don't. But if you're going to be successfully raising a whole human for the next 18 years, you better get ready to collaborate. That doesn't mean that everything's 50-50. Sometimes it's okay to be a sounding board, but when you make the proclamations like, "My kid is doing this, no questions," well, it sets up a tense space for everyone to work in. All right. Number 2, there's also the tailored approaches. First of all, every relationship is different. Some partners might need you to take on more at home, while others might encourage you to step away for some self-care. Long story short, ease up on the acceleration. You don't have to give up everything for 18 years, but I'd recommend giving your hobbies a second thought during that first week of, the baby coming around. This is where communication is key because you'll want to at least talk about expectations with your partner for what your new world is going to look like. And number 3, there's also the reducing stress. Thoughtful conversations create space for both partners to thrive without resentment. I've listened to a lot of people talk about their partners. Now, most of the time, the frustration comes down to an inability to communicate. It's that simple. Now, one partner didn't communicate expectations because they assumed that it was common sense. One partner said yes to a night out with friends in the midst of the worst week of sleep in their partner's life. Almost everything you've been frustrated by stems from poor communication and an assumption that your partner lives inside your own mind. But when communication is clear, stress is reduced. And I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to deal with all that. So what are some of the takeaways? All right, communication isn't just about asking. It is about creating a plan that works for everyone. That's you, that's them, that's your kid. I mean everyone. I want you to enjoy your hobbies. I want you to lean all the way into more hobbies. Collaborating with your partner helps build trust that selfishly will probably give you more time to enjoy your hobbies. You've probably heard the term, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. It's corny, I know, but it's also true. Plan with your partner, and I promise you will have a better time enjoying your hobbies. Now, dads, I want you to keep your personal pursuits. There are so many of you out there who are doing incredible things, and I would be so bummed to see you not do them because you became a dad. All right, we can do them, but we have to talk about some of the actionable steps that we as dads need to take first before we step into them. All right, so I got 4 of them here. Let's start with communicating thoughtfully. We got to use collaborative language like, can we plan this together? This helps make sure that your personal time feels fair and balanced, and when a new baby arrives, this type of communication is going to be crucial, especially as you're learning the communication style of a baby. All right, number 2, schedule your interest. Treat your hobbies like appointments. When you have work meetings, dinner plans, anything like that, you add them to your calendar, right? Add your hobbies to the family calendar as well. This helps make sure that everyone is on the same page, and honestly, it's just a mental note to help block out some of the time in your week for self-care. That is important. All right, number 3, be flexible. I say that to my kids all the time, but I'm going to say it to us dads too. We got to be flexible. Parenthood changes your routines. If it doesn't, then I fear something may be off here. Now, adapt your hobbies to fit within your new time constraints. And even if it's in shorter bursts, that is more than fine. All right. And last but not least, we have to reframe permission. What does that mean? Don't think of it as asking permission, Instead, see it as coordinating with your partner to enjoy guilt-free hobbies. This is beneficial for you, and it's certainly beneficial for them. You don't want to hit the gym feeling guilt. You don't want to hang out with your friends feeling guilt. Maybe it is permission. All right. Full disclosure. Maybe it is permission. But don't think of it that way. You got a baby now. That is amazing. But to care for that baby the way they deserve, it's going to take strong communication between you and your partner. And the foundation to that communication is respect. Start there. Thanks for being here for another episode of Courtside Forever, where our goal is to ensure that parents enjoy the best seats in the house. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or two. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always here for you. I'm Ryan Rucker, and I thank you so much for being here. Take care.